Good morning, Acadiana. You're tuned in to Local News Live, a community service of AOC Community Media in partnership with The Advocate. You can find them online at theadvocate.com, where they are reporting and delivering news every day, and almost every day without fail. Our intrepid volunteer, Bruce Cohen, who it seems like might be readjusting a little bit, but look, he's situated now. Bruce, are you there, buddy?
I am here.
How are you doing this morning, Bruce?
Good. I'm doing great.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming to read the news for us this morning. And
As always,
looking forward to listening to it. So I'm going to go listen on Cypress Street right now.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Good morning, Acadiana. We'll start off this morning with a couple of articles relating to nursing homes in regards to the coronavirus. More than half of Acadiana deaths are in nursing homes, by Claire Taylor, staff writer. More than half of Acadiana deaths from coronavirus have been among nursing home residents, and nearly a quarter resided in a single St. Landry Parish nursing home. J. Michael Monroe Memorial Nursing Home in Arnoldville was hit particularly hard by COVID-19, which claimed 34 of its 147 residents, or nearly a quarter of the home's residents. Nearly half of the residents contracted the virus, along with 29 employees. Nursing home residents account for 24% of the COVID-19 patients in Acadiana, while nursing home employees account for 9% of confirmed cases in the 7-parish region. Monday, for the first time since March, the Louisiana Department of Health released data showing the impact of COVID-19 on Louisiana's nursing homes and residents. Dr. Tina Stefanski, Public Health Director with LDH for the Acadiana region, or Region 4, said Monday the numbers illustrate how the virus is spread by infected people who don't have symptoms. Nursing homes in Louisiana closed their doors to visitors early in March, allowing only employees inside, and they were screened for symptoms and fever, she said, and the virus still entered nursing homes and spread. Nursing homes are working with health department officials to identify and isolate residents and staff with the COVID-19, she said. Our nursing homes in Acadiana have been very responsive, Stefanski said, adding cases at nursing homes probably will increase as tests are conducted on all residents in these facilities. And the health department's Region 4, which includes Lafayette, Acadia, Evangeline, Iberia, St. Landry, St. Martin, and Vermilion parishes, 59 or 41% of the deceased were not nursing home residents, while 86 or 59% were residents of 12 nursing homes. In Iberia Parish, 28 of the 33 people who died from the virus were in nursing homes, leaving 5 deaths not related to nursing homes. 13 of the deaths occurred in New Iberia Manor South nursing home, and as of Monday, 12 deaths were reported in Acadia Parish. All but one of the deaths were nursing home residents, according to data released Monday, while half of the 22 deaths from COVID-19 in St. Martin Parish were residents of a single facility. St. Agnes Healthcare and Rehabilitation Center in Brobridge, the health department data shows. Only 4 of the 23 deaths in Lafayette Parish were nursing home residents. Nursing homes in Evangeline and Vermilion parishes reported no cases of deaths from the virus, as did several homes in other parishes. 3 nursing homes were identified as having pending data. And a related story, as far as the state goes, there has been a horrific toll on nursing homes detailed in latest state release by Famine A. Roberts III and Gordon Russell, staff writers. The devastating toll coronavirus has taken on Louisiana nursing home residents crystallized Monday when public health officials, for the first time since the pandemic's earliest days, released data on how many deaths and infections had occurred within each of the 279 licensed nursing homes across the state. Monday marked the first time in more than 6 weeks that the state publicly released such information. It came after weeks of public record requests from Times-Picayune and The Advocate, which have repeatedly pressed state officials to provide specific details about the virus's impact. The data shows that outbreaks in some nursing homes have been jaw-dropping in scale, with dozens of deaths and infection rates of close to 100%, while others have apparently yet to be touched by the virus. Department of Health said the new weekly reports satisfied several of the paper's requests. On Monday, Governor John Bel Edwards said the state's move from a mitigation phase of fighting the virus to a suppression phase enabled the new reporting. It also closely tracks similar reporting that is planned by the federal government through the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Those agencies will report that information publicly, perhaps by the end of the month, officials said. A key element of the state's suppression strategy is a ramping up of testing of residents and staffs in nursing homes, which apparently have been under strict lockdown for more than 2 months, with many residents confined to their rooms, prohibited from having visitors, and unable to partake in communal dining and other activities. State officials have issued guidance that urges the homes to regularly test all residents and staff at nursing homes, and medical directors in the state's 9 Department of Health regions are forming strike teams that can go in and help nursing homes obtain and administer tests. Some homes have already begun doing this, Edwards said on Monday. Seema Verma, the administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, the federal agency that regulates most nursing homes, said Monday that baseline testing of residents and staff must happen before nursing homes can begin to loosen restrictions on residents and visitors. Such testing, though desirable, would have been impossible in the early days of the pandemic, Tulane's Hasek said. It was very hard to get a test anywhere. Part of the challenge now is to remember how our testing capacity has dramatically changed, Hasek said. In some small Louisiana parishes, all or nearly all of the coronavirus deaths have been in nursing homes. For instance, all 10 of the COVID-19 deaths in Franklin Parish took place in 2 nursing homes there, and 28 of the 33 deaths in Iberia Parish were in nursing homes. But in the state's coronavirus epicenters, nursing homes did not play as outsized a role. Only 20% of the deaths in Orleans Parish and 31% of the deaths in Jefferson Parish have been in nursing homes, the data shows. The 2 parishes have seen by far the most deaths from COVID-19 in the state. While Monday's release is useful and will be cheered by many families and activists, it may not tell the full story, said Susan Hasek, an epidemiologist with the Tulane School of Public Health and Tropical Medicine. Hasek noted that the data can lack nuance. For instance, for some nursing homes, such as the Veterans Home and Reserve, have hospice units, and you'd expect those facilities to have higher fertility rates because those people are already very near to death. Likewise, ease of access to hospitals could affect the numbers. She said some deaths that were actually caused by COVID-19 may not have been counted in the release because a person wasn't tested before they passed or because they died outside the nursing home, perhaps at a hospital. Until late March, state officials were publicly reporting the names of homes where there were clusters of 2 or more cases, but they stopped at that point, saying the volume of cases made it difficult to continue to report clusters. They also declined to provide it in response to public records requests from the newspaper. But on Monday afternoon, after the state released the new data, an attorney for Louisiana, this means some homes such as Lambeth House or Vista Shores Assisted Living, both in New Orleans, which the state identified as early clusters of infections, were not included in Monday's list. However, St. Anna's, a nursing home within Lambeth House, was included. The release reveals the horrific toll the virus has taken at 7 well-known hotspots and brings new ones to light. J. Michael Morrow Memorial Nursing Home in Arnaudville, which I mentioned previous article near Lafayette, has had the deadliest outbreak according to the data, with 34 of its residents having died. Forest Manor in Covington has lost 33 residents. Other homes also have lost dozens of residents. 28 passed away at the Southeast Louisiana Veterans Home and Reserve, 26 at Metairie Healthcare, and 23 at both Greenbrier Community Care Center in Slidell and Garden Park Nursing and Rehab Center in Shreveport. In Baton Rouge, the worst outbreak has been at Old Jefferson Community Care Center, where 21 have died. The home with the highest number of known infections is Highland Place Rehab and Nursing Center in Shreveport. The home has reported 124 cases and 17 deaths. Overall, the new data shows 987 nursing home residents have passed away from the disease release. It includes information never released before, including numbers of cases among both residents and staff at individual homes, as well as a number of resident deaths. The data is still limited, however. For now, Louisiana health officials are only reporting those details for the 279 licensed nursing homes in the state. Hundreds of other facilities, including living homes, behavioral and mental health centers, and other places where potentially vulnerable adults live in communal settings, are not included in Monday's data. More, 100 cases reported at 3 area crawfish farms. This is the state's first workplace cluster by Sam Carlin, staff writer. Around 100 people at 3 crawfish farms in the Acadiana region have tested positive for the new coronavirus, state officials said on Monday, the first workplace clusters announced by the state since the outbreak began. The Louisiana Department of Health declined to name the 3 crawfish farms, citing active, evolving, protected investigations. Dr. Alex Billio, Assistant Secretary of the state's Office of Public Health, said the outbreaks were released in part among migrant workers living in dormitory-like settings. The seafood industry has long hired laborers from other countries to work at crawfish farms and other facilities in the state. LDH is declining to name these private businesses. Spokeswoman Allie Neal said, "We will continue to work with them to prevent further spread of the illness and to ensure workers understand where and when to be tested." Following federal guidelines, Louisiana recently began encouraging mass testing for coronavirus at congregate settings like nursing homes and prisons after initially recommending against testing people without symptoms. The first outbreak discovered by the state led to a broader testing of asymptomatic people, Billio said. Later, 2 other crawfish farms were found to have cases. The Acadiana region has recently experienced an increase in new coronavirus cases, and the Louisiana Department of Health said it is monitoring the increase and said it is due to the worksite outbreaks. 1 dead after storm hits Acadia Parish. Winds topple trailers, overturn cars by Ken Stickney, staff reporter. Church Point, strong winds likely with rotation of weather, forecasters believe, moved through Acadiana late Sunday, killing one person and damaging at least 5 homes in the Church Point area. Acadia Parish Sheriff K.P. Gibson confirmed one death, but said he could not reveal the identity until family members, some of whom are hospitalized, are notified. In an afternoon news conference, Governor John Bel Edwards confirmed the fatality was a 27-year-old woman. The roadway had been cleared. There are a lot of mobile home parks in the area, and the Office of Emergency Preparedness is trying to house people, Gibson said. Utility companies are in the area, and others are working on cleanups along the rights-of-way. Gibson said most of the damage appears to be in an unincorporated area northwest of Church Point. He said the storm appeared to skip over into some rice fields in the vicinity. There are a lot of people out there trying to help, he said. It's nice to see, given all that people have been through. As many as 8 homes may have sustained enough damage to force families to seek other shelter. Seth Warthen, a meteorologist at the National Weather Service in Lake Charles, said the storm passed through Evangeline Parish after 8 p.m. and moved at around 20 to 30 miles per hour in a northwest to southeast path, an untypical path for tornadoes here toward the Church Point area around 9:30 p.m. A Weather Service survey crew headed to Church Point on Monday morning to determine if the area was hit by a tornado. Gibson said a tree had blown over into a house in Church Point's city limits. An area landlord said the death occurred on rental property he owned. The house appeared to have been lifted off its base. Acadiana Ambulance said it had sent at least 4 or 5 ambulances to the area, and Gibson said 9 people have been transported from the scene. He said the injured did not appear to have sustained life-threatening injuries. An Acadiana advocate photographer said at least 3 trailer homes on Prudence Highway north of Church Point were damaged, likely destroyed, and some vehicles and farm equipment have been overturned. One trailer home took what appeared to be a direct hit, moving half the home across the road. The women and 5 children in that trailer escaped serious injury, family members said. One trailer appeared to have flipped over. An NWS tornado warning around 9:15 p.m. included Carencro, Osun, Tucson, and Kangton, but Warthen said reports indicated the worst damage was near Church Point. Based on radar evidence, we can't confirm a tornado until a crew gets there and confirms it, Warthen said. He said confirmation would likely come Monday night or Tuesday. Survey crew will also visit Evangeline Parish. A second crew was investigating damage from DeQuincy to Allen Parish. He said strong storms have been passing through the area for indication of rotating winds came later in the evening. And turning to our public service announcements for the morning. Keeping calm for the COVID hotline. If you are feeling overwhelmed with stress, fear, and anxiety about the uncertainty surrounding the public health emergency, there is a special Keeping Calm Through COVID hotline you can call. This connects you to trained, compassionate counselors who can offer support and who can direct you to mental health and substance abuse counseling services. Trained counselors available 24/7. All calls are confidential. So please, if you find yourself needing such assistance, call 1-866-310-7977. That's 866-310-7977. Medicaid resources. If you have lost your job or you have reduced hours, you may be eligible for Medicaid. You can apply online at mymedicaid.la.gov. You can also apply by phone by calling 1-888-342-6207 or by mail by sending information to Louisiana Medicaid P.O. Box 91283, Baton Rouge, Louisiana 70821. Local Medicaid offices are currently closed to the public, so if additional assistance is needed, you can call again 1-888-342-6207. Locally, Stop the spread, call instead #stop the spread for the latest COVID-19 updates and information in the Acadiana Parish. Visit 311 Lafayette to talk services or call 311. Call centers with volunteers and medical professionals are active 24/7 to answer your questions about COVID-19 and to determine if you need to get screened. You can also call 311 and press option 2 if you're a business owner, employee, or looking for a job to get information about applying for small business recovery loans, apply for unemployment benefits, and related programs. Okay, turning back to the news. Let's see if we're about to enter into state news, but before I'll do that, you do have one local news story. Patricia Gannon, a longtime society writer, has died by Megan Wyatt, staff writer. Patricia Gannon, who covered Acadiana's social scene for 2 decades, has died after a brief battle with cancer. She was 68. Gannon received the advanced career diagnosis in mid-March and died Sunday evening in hospice care, according to her daughter. It was extremely fast, Kathleen Gannon said. Patricia Gannon began covering society for the Acadiana Advocate in 2013. Before that, she covered society for the Daily Advertiser and the Times of Acadiana. Those who know who best remember Patricia Gannon as unapologetically honest, brilliant, and witty, both as a writer and as a person. She usually dressed in all black. She loved horses. She spoke French, German, and a smattering of Russian. I think she's probably the most brilliant person I ever met, said Donna Allen, a longtime friend who called Patricia Gannon his soulmate of 25 years. She knew something about everything, and she knew a lot about a lot of things. Patricia Gannon worked as a gifted and talented teacher in the Lafayette Parish school system for 32 years. Most of that time was spent at Plantation Elementary School, which has since been renamed Corporal Michael Middlebrook Elementary. She first co-authored an entertainment column with Allen for the Times of Acadiana in the late 1990s while still working as a teacher. She would eventually become an iconic voice in Acadiana's print media. Her greatest pride and joy was going on to have a second career as a writer, Kathleen Gannon said. That was her favorite thing. She was a teacher for many years, but that was not her passion. It was definitely writing. Jennifer Jackson would eventually become close friends with Patricia Gannon after meeting her at an event in the mid-2000s. Their relationship began with the society reporting asking to photograph Jackson and include her in newspaper columns. I am African American, and my husband and I stood out because there weren't a lot of people like us at these kinds of events, Jackson said. And Patricia was so gracious. She would always come up to me and ask to take my picture, and I started to realize why. I wasn't that typical face everyone saw. She was so big into diversity. She was always making it known that society was more than just white people. Jackson said Patricia Gannon's coverage transformed her from a nobody into a somebody. While reflecting Monday on their friendship, Jackson said she hopes to one day have the strength and courage of Patricia Gannon, who wasn't afraid to speak her mind or write her observations, even when they weren't popular. She defined herself, Jackson said. That's her legacy. She didn't let others define who she was going to be. She wasn't just a writer or a photographer. She didn't let people treat her like that. She didn't let others define who she was going to be. She decided that. Patricia Gannon was born and raised in Oklahoma. She moved to South Louisiana in 1981 during the petroleum boom, so her then husband could take a job at PHI. Her only child remembers her mother as a lover of art and the written word. She always enjoyed art, Kathleen Gannon said. She always enjoyed our short trips to New Orleans during the holidays. We would go shop and eat, do Brennan's and all that stuff, just a lover of art and the written word. Patricia Gannon kept quiet about her illness, Allen said, because she didn't want anyone to pity her. If she could say something to everyone who knew her, whether personally or through her writing, Jackson said it wouldn't be something sappy. Instead, it would be something like this. Suck it up, her friend said with a laugh. I'm serious. She would say that. Suck it up, move on. Ellen thinks her message would be simple. I think she would want people to know that she loved what she did. He said she loved writing for people. She loved them reading her words. I think she was extremely proud of that. Patricia Gannon's family is planning to hold a public memorial service from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Thursday at the Fountain Memorial Funeral Home, 1010 Pandora Street in Lafayette. Up to 80 people will be allowed in the funeral home at a time with social distancing guidelines in place because of the coronavirus, Kathleen Gannon said. In lieu of flowers, the family is asking people to make a donation to any rural animal organization in honor of Patricia Gannon's love for horses. Okay, and looking at state news, Louisiana Senate passes major tort reform by Mark Ballard, Capitol Bureau editor. The Louisiana Senate approved Monday sweeping tort reform legislation, which supporters promise will lower the price of auto insurance in Louisiana, with more votes needed to override a gubernatorial veto. Senate Bill 418, called the Omnibus Premium Reduction Act of 2020, dramatically changes how people injured in car wrecks can seek and receive recompense through Louisiana courts. After more than 2 hours of debate that included supporters batting away amendments, the Senate voted 29-8 to send Senate Bill 418 to the Louisiana House, which has on its calendar a bill of its own with nearly identical wording. Governor John Bel Edwards, who is supported by lawyers to represent injured plaintiffs, has spoken against parts of the bill, but favorably for other parts. If he were to veto SB 418, the legislature could override with a 2/3 vote in each chamber. The Senate would need 26 votes to override. The House needs 70. A similar bill passed the House last year with 69 votes, but was beaten in the Senate Judiciary A Committee. The session must adjourn in 2 weeks. That the legislation would pass Monday was never in doubt. Since that 2019 vote, the legislature elected a number of new members who ran on lowering the cost of auto insurance via tort reform. The issue came up during the Edwards re-election campaign, and lobbyists for the business and insurance industries kept tort reform alive throughout the coronavirus pandemic. Louisiana has among the highest auto insurance rates in the nation, which business and insurance blame on the state civil justice system being out of line with the rest of the country. They claim the system makes it too easy to file lawsuits for minor injuries. It's our duty and our job to set up and fix this, said State Senator Kirk Talbot, the River Ridge Republican, who sponsored SB 418 at last year's measure when he was a House member. State Senator Jay Leno, an Alexandria Democrat who makes his living as a lawyer, shook his head and endorsed the words of many who detail how all the sweeping changes will benefit businesses and insurance at the expense of individuals, yet provide no reduction in premium prices and could very well lead to higher rates. We sold our souls for the special interests, Leno said. We're making it more difficult to get people in a courtroom and have their case resolved, Leno said. He blames the high prices on the variables insurance companies put in their rate formulas. Senate Bill 418 would extend the deadline for filing a lawsuit from 1 year to 2, called prescription, lower the amount of damages sought in order to have the case heard by a jury instead of a judge, from $50,000 to $5,000, called jury threshold, limit medical expenses recovered to the actual payments made, rather than what a health care provider often charges, called collateral source, require lawsuits to be filed against the other driver rather than the insurance company, called direct action, and allows judges and juries to reduce damage awards if the injured plaintiff wasn't wearing a safety belt. The legislation also requires insurance companies to reduce rates by 10% if their costs go down, unless they can prove to the insurance commissioner that the rate reduction would hurt their business enough to stop selling policies in Louisiana. Supporters, including Insurance Commissioner Jim Donnellan, who has pushed this legislation for years, promised the bill will reduce the price of car insurance policies by at least 10%, perhaps 25%, and maybe more. But SB 418 backers battled away 3 amendments that attempted to lock those savings into the actual wording of the measure. Guarantee them something. We're taking away a lot of rights from folks, said State Senator Patrick Connick out of Marrero, who wanted to ensure a 15% decrease in prices was in the wording of the bill. We're giving a lot to the insurance company. His amendment was shot down in a vote of 15 to 22. I'm not a fan of guaranteeing rate reductions, period, said Slidell Republican State Senator Sharon Hewitt. We didn't pass any of the bills that guarantees results. State Senator Cleo Fields, Democrat from Baton Rouge, pointed out that previous tort reform laws were passed on promises that insurance costs would fall, but they did not. He recommended a sunset for Talbot's legislation. If we pass this sweeping legislation and the rates aren't reduced in 2 years, then the legislation goes away, because that means the legislation doesn't matter, Fields said. His amendment was killed on a vote of 10 to 26. Voting for sweeping changes to civil justice system, 29, President Cortez, Senators Abraham, Allen, Bernard, Cathy, Cloud, Connick, Fizzy, Fole, Henry, Henskins, Hewitt, Johns, Lambert, McMath, Milligan, Fred Mills, R. Mills, Mizell, Morris, Peacock, Pope, Price, Reese, Smith, Talbot, Tarver, White, and Womack. Voting against SB 418 were 8 senators: Barrow, Bowie, Carter, Fields, Harris, Jackson, Luneau, and Ward. Not voting, 2 senators, Boudreaux and Peterson. Well, it's that time in our morning broadcast. We're at the half hour mark, where we'll do our day in history, our zodiac, and we do have some funerals to mention this morning in the Kittiana area. Today is Tuesday, May 19th. It's the 140th day of 2020. There are 226 days left in the year. Today's highlight in history: on May 19th, 1943, in a second wartime address to the U.S. Congress, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill pledged his country's full support in the fight against Japan. That evening, Churchill met with President Franklin D. Roosevelt at the White House, where the two leaders agreed on May 1st, 1944, as the date for the D-Day invasion of France. The operation ended up being launched more than a month later. On this date, in 1536, Anne Boleyn, the second wife of England's King Henry VIII, was beheaded after being convicted of adultery. In 1649, England was declared a republic by Parliament following the execution of King Charles I. The monarchy was restored in 1660. In 1913, California Governor Hiram Johnson signed the Webb-Hartley Law, prohibiting aliens ineligible to citizenship from owning farmland, a measure targeting Asian immigrants, particularly Japanese. In 1924, the Marx Brothers made their Broadway debut in the revue I'll Say She Is. In 1967, the Soviet Union ratified a treaty with the United States and Britain banning nuclear and other weapons from outer space, as well as celestial bodies such as the moon. The treaty entered into force in October of 1967. In 1992, in a case that drew too much notoriety, Mary Jane Buttafuoco of Massapequa, New York, was shot and seriously wounded by her husband Joey's teenage lover, Amy Fisher. In 1993, the Clinton White House set off a political storm by abruptly firing the entire staff of its travel office. 5 of the 7 staffers were later reinstated and assigned to other duties. 10 years ago, President Barack Obama condemned Arizona's crackdown on illegal immigration and pushed instead for a federal fix he said the nation could embrace, showing solidarity with his guest of honor, Mexican President Felipe Calderon, who called Arizona's law discriminatory. 5 years ago, on a visit to Ireland, Prince Charles shook hands with Sinn Féin party president Gerry Adams and a significant moment for Anglo-Irish relations. 1 year ago, billionaire technology investor Robert F. Smith stunned the graduating class of Morehouse College, an all-male historical Black college in Atlanta, where he announced in his commencement speech that he would pay off the student loans of the entire class, estimated at $40 million. Today's birthdays: TV personality David Hartman is 85. Rock singer-composer Pete Townsend, that fantastic guitar whiz from The Who, is 75. Go Pete. Let's see, rock singer-musician Dusty Hill from ZZ Top is 71. College football Hall of Famer and former NFL player and Louisiana born and raised resident Archie Manning is 71. Singer-actress Grace Jones is 69. Let's see, rock singer Jenny Bergeron of Ace of Base is 48. And actor Drew Fuller is 40. Thought for today: every moment one lives is different from the other. The good, the bad, hardship, the joy, the tragedy, love, and happiness are all interwoven into one single incredible whole that is called life. You cannot separate the good from the bad, and perhaps there is no need to do so either. Quote from Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, 1929 to 1994. Looking at today's zodiac, or the horoscope as I refer to it, if you're a Taurus, look for unusual ways to get things done and to help others. Push forward with your plans and be open regarding your intentions and goals. Geminis, get involved in something you believe in to make valuable connections. Use technology to reach the people you want to team up with, and good things will transpire. Cancer, keep expenses low and your life simple. You'll have difficulty controlling your reaction to emotional issues. Be objective when faced with controversy. It's okay to do things differently. Leos, how to express yourself will determine the amount of respect you receive. Charm coupled with compliments will set the mood for a pleasant encounter. Use your skills to help a cause. Virgo, my sign, deal with others carefully. Someone will twist your words or offer you invalid information. It's up to you to bring about necessary changes, regardless of what others do. Libra, learn all you can about a situation before you make promises or reveal your opinion. A problem at home will require discipline and moderation. Use charm and persistence to win favors. Scorpio, show a little sass and do whatever it takes to get your way. Don't sell yourself short or let anyone lead you astray. Don't get involved in joint ventures. Sagittarius, your fun-loving approach to life will capture attention. Revealing too much about your personal life or plans will allow someone to take advantage of you. Capricorns, if change is what you want, make adjustments at home. Add to your entertainment center and move things around to make space to work on a project you want to pursue. Aquarius, how you handle your personal affairs will encourage others to pitch in and help. What you are willing to do to make your life better will become a guideline for others. Pisces, take a closer look at your daily routine and habits. Look for a healthier lifestyle and for a way to get things done without jeopardizing your relationships, position, or reputation. And finally, Aries, put your energy to good use, get a plan up and running, and don't stop until you achieve what you set out to do. Personal improvements will build confidence and encourage success. And as always, folks, the horoscope is an entertainment feature, not based on scientific facts, as we all know. In the funerals today in the Acadiana area, there is one for Charles Fall, and that will be held at Evangeline Memorial Gardens Chapel in Carrico at 11 a.m. If you are planning to attend, please call Evangeline Memorial Gardens Chapel in Carrico to make sure that they more than likely have coronavirus guidelines set up. So if you want to attend this funeral, please call to make sure that you are following all the protocols. All right, and let's look at a couple of PSAs. Individuals whose hours are being reduced at work or have been laid off from employment may qualify for unemployment insurance benefits. If you are attempting to apply for unemployment insurance and not able to access an existing online account or need help resetting your password, call Lafayette's Acadiana Workforce Solutions Office at 337-262-5601. Due to high call volume, some calls may not be answered immediately, so you can call again at a later time or contact one of Louisiana's other local offices for assistance. In addition to unemployment insurance benefits, individuals looking for supplemental income can consider local employment opportunities with businesses who are seeking temporary, part-time, and full-time workers by visiting the COVID-19 Help Wanted resource page at lafayette.org/helpwanted, or LEADER's, a virtual job fair page with local businesses seeking to hire local candidates for full-time employment opportunities at lafayette.org or lafayette.org/jobs. Okay. And AOC teams up with United Way of Acadiana for Learn United. United Way of Acadiana has teamed up with AOC and other educational groups for Learn United, bridging the digital gap to provide educational resources for households that don't have internet but do have a television. The Learn United programming has weekdays from 8 to 2 on AOC 2, Cox 16, or LUS 4, and streaming at aocinc.org/watch for the daily schedules and to submit content for the program. Visit United Way of Acadiana's website, unitedwayofacadiana.org/learn-united. And as we've been mentioning, in early April, Vitalant, nation's largest independent nonprofit blood service provider, launched a program in collaboration with hospital partners, the Mayo Clinic and the American Red Cross, to treat COVID-19 patients with convalescent plasma. The Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, has identified improved convalescent plasma treatment as an emergency investigational new drug. It is currently the only antibody treatment available to COVID-19 patients, and as such is a promising new treatment option. So Vitalant is seeking these donors to help patients. The eligibility criteria are prior diagnosis of COVID-19, documented by a laboratory test or a positive serological test for the SARS-CoV-2 antibodies taken after recovery, complete resolution of symptoms for at least 14 days, meet all of the current FDA donor eligibility requirements to donate plasma. Even with these requirements, there may be additional tests or other criteria required. In some instances, those that have recovered from COVID-19 may be able to donate even if they did not have an initial laboratory test. Those who meet the above criteria and want to donate plasma are encouraged to apply through the Vitalant website, that's vitalant.org/COVID-free, or for more information, call 866-287-5762. That's 866-287-5762. Okay, going back to our news for the morning. LSU title license plate bill advances by Will Centel, staff writer. Louisiana House Committee Monday approved a bill that would authorize a license plate to honor LSU's 2019 football national championship. The bill was filed by freshman state representative Reggie Bagala, a Republican from Cutoff, who later died of COVID-19, the illness caused by the novel coronavirus. House Bill 765 next goes to the full House for a vote. The license plate, like other prestige plates, will require at least 1,000 applications to go into production. It will cost $25 on top of the standard motor vehicle license tax and a $3.50 handling fee. The money raised will be sent to LSU. The legislation was handled by State Representative Brian Fontenot, Republican from Thibodaux. In other action, the committee approved a Senate-passed bill that would ban the use of handheld cell phones while driving. The measure, Senate Bill 50, next faces action in the full House. Current law makes it illegal to use a handheld cell phone in a school zone. The bill would expand that to all roads, with first-time violators facing fines of up to $100 and up to $300 for subsequent offenses. If the measure wins final approval, it would include a grace period, written warnings only until January 1st. The proposal is backed by State Insurance Commissioner Jim Donnellan, whose office said the change would help reduce accidents. Similar bills have been pushed for years without success, including one in the House last year. However, the House has undergone heavy turnover since 2019 because of term limits. The same committee rejected a Senate-passed bill that would require motor vehicle tag agents to accept credit and debit cards. Some of the state's roughly 170 agents require cash only. Senator Cleo Fields, Democrat from Baton Rouge, said it made no sense for citizens to be blocked from using credit and debit cards in 2020. Fields said the rules force customers to carry large amounts of cash to handle license and other transactions. Opponents said agents should be free to choose how they will be paid, and the $18 per transaction they make has not changed for the past 12 years. They said tag agents are a convenience and citizens are free to go to state-run facilities that accept a wide range of payment. The legislation, Senate Bill 102, passed the Senate earlier this month, 36-0. It was shelved by the committee 10-3. Edwards slams tax cuts sought by GOP lawmakers by Sam Carlin. The legislation is in session. That's why we have all these legislative type of news this morning. The story is written by Sam Carlin, staff writer. As Republican lawmakers push for tax cuts for the oil and gas industry and other sectors, Democratic Governor John Bel Edwards on Monday came out against such tax breaks, saying they would hamper the state's ability to fund critical services. Edwards, whose administration has cobbled together a state budget plan hammered by a $1 billion loss in revenues caused by the pandemic, said efforts to cut taxes would further hurt the state's ability to fund services like health care, which is especially important during a public health emergency. If Louisiana's revenues are short of expenses, health care and higher education have historically taken the brunt of budget cuts because of the way the budget is structured, though agencies would take only a 2% cut under Edwards' plan because of more than $1 billion in federal aid. I don't think it's ever a good idea to have wholesale cuts to health care, but if you certainly don't want to do it when there's a public health emergency, Edwards said during a news conference Monday. The House Appropriations Committee advanced a bill by State Representative Philip DeVilliers, Republican from Eunice, to cut severance taxes, which is levied on oil, gas, and other resources, by more than $112 million over 5 years. Another measure, House Concurrent Resolution 66 by House Ways and Means Chairman Stuart Bishop, Republican from Lafayette, to suspend franchise taxes entirely from small businesses for more than a year, a $10.2 million tax cut over the next 2 fiscal years, passed the full House on a 72-24 vote. That legislation was recommended by a task force of business executives created by legislative leadership to respond to the pandemic. Members of the legislature's Republican majority have repurposed legislation long sought by business groups as coronavirus relief proposals. Cuts to severance taxes on oil and gas, franchise taxes, and other measures have gained new life as Republicans argue businesses need relief to rebound from the severe economic downturn from COVID-19. GOP legislators and the head of the Louisiana Oil and Gas Association argued the legislation was necessary to help the state's employees survive an oil price crash and coronavirus restrictions that have roiled the economy. The oil industry has been hampered by crashing oil prices because of weakened global demand and a price war between major producers Russia and Saudi Arabia. DeVilliers, who is pushing a measure to cut severance taxes on oil from 12.5% to 8.5% by 2029, said he filed his bill when oil was trading at $57 a barrel. But with prices plummeting and trading in the $30 range, on Monday, DeVilliers said the measure is needed as a lifeline to the oil and gas industry. In line with Republican orthodoxy on taxes, he also suggested that tax cuts would pay for themselves with increased economic activity. Gifford Briggs, president of the Louisiana Oil and Gas Association, said the organization would rather such tax cuts take place faster and more aggressively. But given the hit to the state budget, he called it the best path forward. Opponents argue that the state is in no position to cut taxes as the virus blows a hole in the state budget. Edwards' administration has presented proposed changes to the budget to lawmakers that includes relatively modest cuts and robust use of a $1.8 billion aid package sent to Louisiana through a $2 trillion stimulus package passed by Congress. Democratic lawmakers raised questions about how the state could afford to pay for such a tax cut when revenues are already dwindling, as well as whether the tax cuts would ultimately benefit employees. Louisiana Revenue Secretary Kimberly Robinson said the idea that tax cuts will pay for themselves was highly speculative. Edwards, in late April, directed Robinson to delay the collection of severance taxes, the bulk of which come from oil, gas, and timber. The taxes are due on April 25th and now due June 25th, Robinson said. Severance taxes usually bring in about $40 million a month in revenues for the state, and in fiscal year 2019, the state hauled in $529 million in severance taxes. Okay, continuing with, let's see, locally, statewise. Utility bill credit in the works. The Youngsville plan will benefit businesses by Megan Wyatt. Youngsville businesses that have taken a hit due to the coronavirus shutdown could get a credit from the city this summer on their utility bills. The Youngsville City Council approved a resolution during its regular meeting Thursday to give a 2-month water and sewer credit to businesses that have been adversely affected by the COVID-19 crisis. The credits won't come until later this summer, and businesses will have to apply for them. Approved businesses would eventually be refunded for their March and April utilities bill. We know the benefit that these businesses do for our community, said Youngsville Mayor Ken Ritter during the meeting. The sales tax that they contribute to infrastructure improvements, public safety, recreational opportunities that benefit the entire community. The credits probably won't make the difference between a business succeeding or failing, especially because disconnections and late fees are waived for the next few weeks as part of the state's public health emergency declaration. More than anything, according to Councilman Ken Stansberry, it's a gesture of support for businesses in Youngsville. These businesses have invested their livelihoods, Stansberry said during the meeting. Sometimes these dreams are theirs to open up business, and it might not be a whole lot, but this just seemed like the best option, a good gesture back to our business community to say we care about you. Youngsville, which is mostly a residential community, has become known as a business-friendly city in recent years, in large part due to the waiving of permit fees for new businesses. Ritter said the city can afford to cover the utility bills for March and April for all businesses in Youngsville if necessary, but he thinks only a fraction will apply and qualify for the relief. Youngsville businesses will have up to July 31st to apply for the credit, which will be applied to their accounts for future utility payments. Councilman Gary Williams, the only one to vote against the proclamation, questioned how the applications would be vetted and whether it's within their rights to refund city money to businesses. Ritter admitted that some businesses, such as grocery stores and higher sales tax revenues for March, are more than normal. Expects those kind of businesses won't apply for the credit. They would apply, the mayor said, and they would have to attest that their sales have been heavily impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. I think we know the types of businesses that have been doing really well, and I think that you don't have to drive too far around to realize who is not doing that well. George Knox, the city's attorney, said it is legally within their right to provide the credit to businesses for utilities fees they've already paid to the city. By giving them a credit, we're not writing checks out of city funds to each individual business owner and saying, go spend the money however you want to spend it. Cox said we're simply giving them a credit and essentially waiving a fee for service that we provide. And I think we're perfectly within our rights. Okay, there's a couple more stories this morning. One about casinos and a sports story I'd like to read. It's almost that time frame, a couple minutes away from when our audio portion of the news broadcast will stop on our TV channels. In that case, if I go over the time limit, you can continue listening at AOC Community Media, or you can go to our streaming radio online at Cypress Street Radio. That's CYPRESS Street Radio. Just click on the play button and you will hear the rest of the broadcast. So Louisiana casinos reopen with sanitized conditions, temperature checks, social distancing in place by Brooks Cubana, staff writer. The dealer sprays the dice with a bottle of disinfectant, and a masked gambler leans into the craps tables, his cheekbones raised in a grin. Leave them wet, he tells the dealer. They won't roll as much. The dealer looks back sharply, her hands reaching for a nearby roll of paper towels. The glow of a Monday afternoon shines in the skylight of the Hollywood Casino in Baton Rouge, with its half-size craps table is surrounded by the beeps and boops of twinkling slot machines. The dealer must wipe the dice. That's the only way these three men can alter the portions of chips that each rests in one of the table's 6 wooden placeholders, every other one sealed shut with black masking tape. That's the only way table games can happen in this casino, adhering to social distancing protocol. Although the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's guidelines offer no specific mandates for high-touch services like elevator buttons or keyboards or dice. Yes, that's the only way one of Louisiana's most deeply rooted vices can exist in this most recent phase of the coronavirus pandemic. Governor John Bel Edwards permitted casinos and video poker businesses to reopen on May 18th by 25% occupancy and separate 50% of the gaming positions. Such businesses need to allow for social distancing and use enhanced sanitation through a plan approved by the Gaming Control Board. So the dealer wipes the dice. A gambler wearing a New Orleans Saint-themed mask tosses the dice against the flat to felt wall. Chips are cast. The dealer arranges the chips and looks each gambler in the eye. I just want to say how much I appreciate you wearing masks, she says, her voice slightly muffled by her own black fabric. Really, I do. Renewing customer confidence is one of the steepest hurdles in kickstarting an economy that was broadsided by a virus that has killed over 90,000 people nationally, halted businesses in every state, and resulted in a Louisiana unemployment rate that will be close to 22% by the end of May, according to Loren Scott, a Baton Rouge economist and consultant. Nearly all of the Louisiana Casino Association's 14,000 employees were furloughed after the organization's 25 casinos closed on March 17th. Wade Duty, the Louisiana Casino Association's executive director, said that for each month the casinos remain closed, they collectively burned through $53 million in cash. Duty told the Louisiana Economic Recovery Task Force that casinos pay about $100 million per year in property taxes to local authorities, adding that the state was losing approximately $10 million a week in lost gaming revenue. Slowing those losses within Louisiana's economic recovery, Duty said, requires establishing an environment of safety for consumers who remain cautious about venturing back outdoors. A company study, Duty said, showed that 54% of people are wary about returning to any entertainment business. You want to make sure they're doing that in a safe and responsible manner. Duty said, part of that is our job. Part of that is their job. So if we work together, you get a good outcome. 2 miles south of the Hollywood Casino, a line of nearly 30 people waits for the Belle Baton Rouge Casino to open at noon. Strands of yellow tape mark standing places 6 feet apart in the line. Some people are wearing masks, some aren't. Karen Haney, 59, waits patiently halfway down the line while a casino employee hollers that the casino will be checking everyone's temperature at the door. Every facility in the Louisiana Casino Casino Association must screen the temperature of all customers, employees, and vendors. We've come too far to try and go out there, try to do something to get sick now, Annie says through her mask. All the people who have lost their lives is something to think about. It's not the time to be foolish or stubborn. Haney says she only left her Baton Rouge home for 3 locations since the first week of March: the grocery store, the bank, and the water company to drop off her bills. But why come to the casino? It's something to do, Haney says. She's been holed up for too long. In the days since she's retired, she normally visits her friends and plays cards. It's a social part of her life that was taken away, and she's reclaiming a portion of it within the guidelines of public health officials. The line wanes. An employee points an infrared thermometer at a patron. Anyone with a temperature over 100 degrees is denied entry. The patron is waved through. About 30 people are scattered on the first floor of the Belle Baton Rouge. No table games are open. Gamblers sit at spaced out, whirring slot machines. One man is wearing yellow rubber cleaning gloves. Haney sits at a slot machine, pulls out disinfectant wipes, and scrubs down the machine's buttons. It's a tamer scene on the outdoor deck of Labarge Casino further down the Mississippi River. Every other chair of the slot machines have been removed, keeping gamblers further distance in the smoking-friendly zone of the casino. 2 men wait for a slot machine. One tugs down his mask and takes a drag of the cigarette in his right hand. A waitress walks in, her blonde curls draping over a black mask. Labarge is Baton Rouge's largest casino, and inside a wide open floor is filled with mostly empty blackjack, roulette, and craps tables. One of 4 craps tables is operational. A group of 20 people are gathered around the table. Only 6 are allowed to play at a time, 3 on each side. An impromptu line has formed at the adjacent slot machines. Cedric Williams is the 5th in a line of 6 people. He brought his own mask to Labarge. An employee at a grocery store, he says he's exposed to people every day, and now that casinos are open, he wanted to take a look for himself. He and his friends have been waiting in line for 15 minutes. They're all wearing masks, and they entered the casino without issue. Labarge has a fancier thermometer system. Patrons face an electronic tablet that reads their temperature. Williams recognizes this isn't foolproof. He'd rather craps tables force gamblers to wear gloves. A lot of people are asymptomatic, Williams said. They don't have symptoms. That's what I think about most of the time. What if I come in contact with people who aren't wearing gloves, not taking the extra precautions to not spread it? Does Williams feel like Louisiana is ready for casinos to reopen? He eyes the table, the line. Not if we get to do all this, we ain't, he says. If we've got to wait in lines to play games, we ain't ready. Chips are cast, a gambler rolls the dice, and minutes pass. So our last story of the morning is sports related. Cajuns women make changes for more seasoned lineup by Kevin Foote, sports staff writer for The Advocate. The last we heard of the UL women's basketball program, coach Jerry Brawhead and his team was trying to get over the disappointment of their season being halted by the coronavirus 2 days before the Sun Belt Conference Tournament semifinals at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. More than missing out on that experience and losing senior post player Kendall Bess, quite a bit has changed for the program's prospects for the 2020-21 season. For starters, Andrea Cornor and Jasmine Womack both entered the transfer portal. Cornor has been signed with Sanford, while Womack's future remains undetermined. According to Brawhead, the issues revolved around playing time, although on 2 very different levels. Womack only got into 8 games this season and only played more than 3 minutes once. She scored 2 points all season. Cornmoyer, on the other hand, averaged 6.8 points, 2.2 rebounds, 2.2 assists, and 1.5 steals during her sophomore campaign, which included 18 starts and 31 games. She averaged 21.2 minutes a game. Her minutes did decline late in the season. After never playing fewer than 13 minutes over their first 23 games, Coinmoyer played fewer than 13 minutes in 5 of UL's final 7 games. We're going to miss her shooting, Broadhead said of Coinmoyer. She didn't really have a good shooting year, but she's confident in her shot, and I think she's a good shooter. Also, she practiced hard, and she's just an all-around good kid that you want in your program. The defensive side was also an issue for both, according to Broadhead. Style of play that we have that kind of fits her too, Broadhead said of her move to Samford. That's Samford, not Stanford. Defense was part of it too. She's pretty athletic, and I think she was getting better at it, but she was always concerned about getting better at it. In addition to signing Lafayette Christian's Tamara Johnson early, an Alcorn State transfer for Real Porter, also from LCA, Broadhead added Weatherford Junior College's 5'9" guard Destiny McAfee and Washita High's 6'1" center LaFordria Green to the fold. I wouldn't say she's like Andrea, Broadhead said of McPhee, who averaged 16 points a game last season, and is actually a Lafayette native. She's more of something that we don't have. She's a big guard. She's about 5'9", 5'10", and she can rebound. Our outside shooting may not be quite what Andrea was, but she's a scorer. She brings more size to us, and her ability to guard is going to be big for us because she's so athletic. Green fits into the program's biggest off-season emphasis of adding more rebounding and defense, averaging 11.5 points and 10.6 rebounds for Class 5A state runner-up Washita in this past season. We'll be bigger across the board, Broadhead said. That's what we're looking for because of the rebounding. We need some help on the rebounding side and the defensive side. I think we'll be stronger. We just felt like we were a little bit small amid the guard positions. That kind of hurt us on the defensive side and on the boards. When you give up that size, you better be able to shoot it. I didn't find that we shot it as good as we could have. So while Broadhead is concerned about replacing the leadership Best provided, there's every reason to count on UL being better next season after going 19-12 this past season. I feel confident that we have a really solid team next year, he said. I'm hoping we can get back in June and get some work in over the summer. One thing that will be new for Broadhead's bunch is it might suddenly be the most seasoned group in the Sun Belt women's race in the fall. Out of all the teams in the conference, we're probably the oldest team now, he explained. We'll have 6 seniors. This is a year when you can't come back. You want to be a little more mature. They know what the system is, especially compared to if you were bringing home a bunch of freshmen. And folks, that pretty much wraps up our news broadcast for this morning. I appreciate you tuning in and listening. As always, I enjoy reading the news to you. If you are at all interested in doing what I've done this morning, you can go online to our website, aocinc.org, look up the volunteer reading newspaper program, fill out the application or information, and come and join us. Currently, we are doing all broadcastings remotely. I'm actually sitting in my office at home doing this broadcast until the time comes at a later date when hopefully we'll be able to get back into the podcast booth at the AOC headquarters downtown at the Rosa Parks Transportation Center. But for now, we're basically doing it remotely, but still being able to bring you the news Monday through Friday, every morning from 9 to 10 or shortly after if we go a little longer, like we did this morning. So thank you for listening. As always, as I say, be safe during this crisis that we're dealing with. Be smart, be healthy, take care of each other, and be kind. Good morning, Kitty Anna, and have a good day.